Hey, what's going on? If you're on this video, then you are here to try to remake this viral video from Analog Mirage. Video has, I think at this point, over like 15 million views, 15.1 million views. And it took a little figuring out for how to make it happen, but mixing some real world elements with some AI video generation, and I think we got something pretty good. So the first thing I want to say about this is that most of the people that are trying to recreate this video are starting with Midjourney. And to be honest with you, I think that's not necessarily the best place to go. For me, I wanted to make sure that I was actually in the video. I wanted it to look like I was the one flying. But after doing a ton of Midjourney generations, I really couldn't find one that looked like me. Yeah, I think I was able to make something that looked pretty good, but it wasn't me. So after trying a ton of different descriptions, after trying a bunch of different ways to describe me being 5'8", 190 pounds, bald head, all the things, I couldn't get it right. So I decided to go manual with it and go back to the real world. And that's just what I did. So I set up a scene here in our studio where I was basically able to sprawl out over a bench on a green screen and using this to essentially create the basic single shot that I could then animate with AI video generation. So I shot this photo of myself and then I brought in a screenshot actually from the video itself. And I just used generative fill to remove the girl from the scene. And then I took some of the options that it gave me just to find the one that felt the most natural. And with this, I basically had my solid background plate that I could then layer my cutout on top of to start to get something that felt a little bit like I was flying through the sky. Bringing in my overlay. Now you can see we've already got something here that's starting to feel pretty good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I got green all around me. This needs improvement, but generally I was pretty happy with how I shot the photos on my phone. You'll see on this screenshot that I'll put up right now, I just had a super tall phone mounted on a ladder to get a video of me doing different positions laying out, and then I just screenshotted that to bring it in to Photoshop to then cut myself out. So after I had this layered up pretty good, I knew I needed to do a little bit of manipulation. So then I brought it into Lightroom. This is what it looked like when I brought it in. You can definitely see some of that green around my shoulder and whatnot. So if I just go ahead and pull this down, it's really going to eliminate that from being quite as intense. And then I was able to make just overall adjustments to the photo as well. So if I wanted to mess with the highlights, the blacks, vibrance, all the things just to try to make the images feel a little more in line. And then this is what I went ahead and exported out to bring in to my video generation. So once I had my image exported, it was time to bring everything over into Polo AI, which is one of my favorite tools for video generation, just because it gives you access to all of these different video engines. So it's really a great tool to use if you're trying to test different video generation engines essentially. And Kling 2.1 is so good for this like animation of humans and bodies and bringing photos to life. So when you're starting to do your video generations, you're really going to be using that image you export from Lightroom and then a prompt to help bring it to life. Now the prompt is super important here because you want to talk about the motion, the speed, really all the things that bring it to life. So I'm going to put the prompt that I used in the description down below, so feel free to copy that and use that for your own execution. You can do a couple different generations just to make sure you kind of get it dialed in to how you want it. So you can see here I did a few different ones. I used some different words in terms of a man flying, a man running. Here, and you can see in my video, I actually really started it later just because I thought it felt better starting here. But I'll show you how I did the intro as well. So then essentially to piece your different sequences together, what you need to do is upscale and export your video, add sound effects to it as well, and do those generations. And then you're gonna get a screenshot that you will use to get your next sequence. So you're essentially daisy chaining together multiple sequences by using an image from the end of one sequence to start the beginning of the next sequence. So I'll show you just what some of those looked like for me as I was doing exports. So here's an example of another shot that I pulled from my video, and this is from the actual Kling generation that I would then put back into Kling to get it to iterate farther down this flying sequence. And I'll pull up the video edit here in a minute just to show you exactly how many of these sections I put together. And I used Final Cut to put my video together actually, and I'll show you the assembly. The assembly was pretty straightforward, but it does have a couple of effects. So you can see here my opening sequence that I created in Higgsfield, which I'll get into at the end of the video. But then here's my first flying sequence. Now to get the image that I would then use to create the next flying sequence, I would be exporting these frames directly from Final Cut. So Final Cut has a save current frame feature, which I would then be using to export that frame to have then what I'm using to make the next flying shot. So you can see in this one, I used this frame export by saving the current frame to start the next running sequence. So altogether, I have flying generation, a running and flying generation, and then another flying, a little bit of running generation here. And then the whole edit is bookended by these sort of zoom out animations where you're starting from super high in the sky and kind of zooming into what's happening. For the song, I used the same song that Analog Mirage had used on her video. I really liked this song. And for my sound effects on all my clips, I was using the sound effects that you can generate in Kling. There's a sound effects button that you can use on all your video generations, and those ended up sounding really good. So I've done this with other AI videos too, and to really bring the vibe together, I wanted to have sort of a look and feel to the footage. So I put on an adjustment layer to kind of shift the footage a little bit, and I'll tell you what I did in my adjustment layer. In Final Cut, I had a little bit of the old world, a little bit of the 50s TV, and a little bit of the aged film. It kind of gives it this aged, a little bit, desaturated look that I thought kind of helped it all come together and feel a little more seamless and dreamlike, which was exactly what I was going for. But now let's get into one of my favorite parts about the video, which is actually the beginning and the ending. So to create the beginning and the ending, you're gonna need an account on Higgsfield.ai. And to put this together, it's very similar to what we were doing over on Kling. Now, you essentially just need an image to import, and then you're going to give it a short prompt, and then you're using a zoom out animation that's built into Higgsfield. So for this, I took a screenshot of the frame that I wanted to be the final frame in the video and used that to create the animation. Now, I did have to specify that I wanted the zoom out to be over the ocean, because the first time it zoomed out and I was over the ground, which just didn't quite feel right to me. But after a little bit of an update on my prompt and another generation, I had the animation just how I wanted it. And there you go. So that's done for you in Higgsfield. All you need is a frame and a basic prompt, and you can get that effect that you're looking for. The last thing, just to bring some sound effects into these opening and ending clips, is I basically just used audio that I had generated on another video clip from Polo AI using the sound effects feature in there. So this layer right here is really just using the sound effects from this whooshing clip to then have some sound effects on the zoom out. And then you bring it all together and you've got your own version of the Analog Mirage flying video. So hopefully this video is packed with information. I tried to get through it as fast as I could, but there's just a lot that goes into it when you're bringing in real world elements and all the other things. So if you like this video, hit subscribe. We've got more tutorials coming on how to create better content with AI. Have a great day.